What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new video for you guys as we're getting into the remainder of our live viewer questions from this past weekend's episode of A-Plus Hero Report. If you missed our Sunday night's episode, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below for you guys, so you can definitely go ahead and check it out if you'd like to catch up on some of the topics along with our other live viewer questions. For those that we don't get to live on air, we make a side video for you guys and post it throughout the week. So make sure that we definitely get everybody's questions. So let's go ahead and dive into your guys' live viewer questions. If you ever wanted to know how do I submit a live viewer questions, it's pretty simple. Just come over to our YouTube channel here, A Plus Hero Report. Click on that community tab, and you will see usually after Wednesday or Thursday during the week, I will go ahead and post a live viewer question post just like that. Once a new one is up in the middle or at the end of the week, feel free to go ahead and submit your question over, and we'll definitely tackle it on A Plus Hero Report. I believe the last person that we finished off with was Jackson Peterson. So we're going to be starting off today with Mr. Jack Daniels because it is in fact 5 o'clock somewhere, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into this. Reboots and revivals stay in the past. You know how we've been getting a ton of revivals and reboots when it comes to shows and movies? Someone who is sick of those things wants what they've wait, someone who is sick of those things wants what they loved in the past to stay in the past. Cobra Kai. Example, Cobra Kai being a spinoff series of the Karate Kid franchise and the MMPR special anniversary special. Do you agree or disagree that if someone doesn't care about a spinoff or a continuation of something, they should just pretend that everything they loved about the original show or movie is still there if they want to stay in the past? This could also apply to people who hate Power Rangers who've been continuing since MMPR and they choose to pretend that MMPR was the only series of Power Rangers to ever exist. I mean, look, it is one of those things. Look, people are going to complain about everything, unfortunately, but it is also one of those things that it does irk me too, as somebody that likes a lot of franchises, that sometimes tends to do reboots or has a lot of things within that franchise for people to pick from, that people have a tendency of wanting to sort of shit on other people's happiness. You know, like if I'm happy that there's a Cobra Kai spinoff series or MMPR spinoff series, you know, you always got to have that one or two people that are always just like, oh, F this sort of thing. We don't need more of this type of thing. So like for me, look, I have no problem with revivals and reboots if it makes sense, you know. We are getting into that time where, you know, what was our present is sort of now our past. And I think once you start getting like 20, 30 years into something, if the people are still around, I think it's kind of fun to do a little bit of a revival, see where some of our favorite characters are definitely been sort of all this time. But just that idea of them creating new stuff after all this year, really after all these years, doesn't take away from what sort of came before, right? So like people that want to crap on Disney and their sequel trilogy or want to bitch about all the things that Disney's doing to Star Wars right now, I'm just like, and they're like, oh, you're ruining my childhood or whatever the case may be. I just think to myself, like, really? Like this is what's ruining it for you? Like this is the only piece of Star Wars or the only piece of this franchise that you're invested in anymore? Like there's just so much more content out there for Power Rangers and Star Wars fans, different eras, different dimensions, you know, for them to really explore and enjoy. You know, if the prequel trilogy is your thing, the prequel trilogy is your thing, you know. But don't necessarily crap on the joy that other people are having towards other things just to crap on it. You know, like I can understand creative criticisms in that regards, but sometimes it's just one of those things where it's like, look, if you don't like what the current thing is doing, it does not mean that what you loved in the past is completely erased. It is very much there. You can easily access it if you need to go ahead and watch the aspects of that franchise that you absolutely love. So yeah, not everybody's going to be big fans of reboots and revivals. And listen, that's certainly more than okay. You know, I just hope that those people continue to latch on to the things that they do enjoy and don't shit on my happiness just because you didn't like what they're currently doing right now. But yeah, I appreciate the question, Jack. Um, Roberto, what's up, Roberto? Roberto, he says, I'm revisiting Beast Morphers this past weekend. I skimmed the major episodes in order to see all of the fun crossovers and references. I'd say this season solidified my early feelings of the show. Beast Morphers was great first step in the Hasbro era, but it was produced by Saban and was a truer legacy season than Megaforce ever was. The characters were fresh, they were genuine romantic relationships, and the theme of legacy hit stronger than ever. There are Rangers history courses. The morphing grid was seen as a clean energy source to power the future. The characters, costumes, and weapons in previous series all returned. The build-up of the three-part crossover and the second to last episode were highlights of the season, with the latter possibly becoming my favorite in the entire Beast Morphers run due to what it did at the end for the series. This is a season older fans would regret missing out on and younger ones would probably enjoy if they have yet to tune in. If someone was making a list of necessary seasons for Power Rangers, this would be a good entry. All of that said, I wouldn't recommend it as the first Power Ranger season. I'd say go with something like RPM or Dino Charge or Dino Thunder, Dino Charge first, as well as Dino Fury if one wanted to watch with kids now. I'd say RPM, Dino Fury, maybe a few episodes of MMPR, and Dino Thunder, Dino Fury to show them the history of Power Rangers, and then back to Beast Morphers. Thoughts? I mean, look, I don't necessarily know about an order that I certainly would send people to watch in regards to Power Rangers. But I will say, I definitely echo your sentiments about Power Rangers Beast Morphers. While we definitely had Chip Lin and it was certainly still owned by, or at least parts of Saban was definitely still very much attached to the project, the idea by that time that they had sold the rights over to Hasbro, there is a part of me that kind of looks at it and is like, oh, this may not necessarily be the full first entry for Hasbro, but I appreciate. For me, this felt like the turning of the tide, if that makes sense, right? Kind of giving us something a little bit more fresh, but yet at the same time still feeling very, it was a mixture of like Neo Saban and Hasbro, it felt like, and then Dino Fury just kind of really launched Hasbro certainly on its own path. But I've always been a big fan of Beast Morphers. I've always been really pleased with what we wind up getting. I don't know if that was just because Chip Lin, wind up really having a heavy hand in putting that together, or if the late edition of Hasbro maybe had something to do with it. But regardless, I was always a big fan of Beast Morpher, so I'm glad that we certainly share the same thought process. John Schuyler, would you like Hasbro to do more specials for older Power Ranger seasons after Cosmic Fury, or are you completely fine if our long running franchise takes a break and Hasbro focuses more on the reboot? If Hasbro can manage to handle the reboot and our long running franchise, then I'm on board. Japan had been going on for more than 30 years and constantly pulling out anniversary specials and new seasons, which, in my opinion, don't feel special anymore because they kept coming out almost every single year. Let's be real. We know that some people in the fandom are really sick and tired of MMPR always having the biggest attention when it comes to Power Rangers. That's just how it works. MMPR was the first series of Power Rangers, and that's what the general audience all know about. It is Hasbro's moneymaker, which is why the anniversary special was a huge hit among fans. If we were getting another anniversary Netflix special or 30th anniversary special itself wasn't MMPR, I don't think it would be the same hype train it was about the different seasons like Time Force, Dino Thunder, and SPD. Every person you ask only knows of MMPR and what it stood for. Would it be nice to have another anniversary special? Yes, it would, but only for the hardcore Power Ranger fans, which again may not get the same amount of attention and momentum when it comes to promoting. Yeah, my biggest worry, well, I have no problem with them giving us more specials at some point in time. My biggest worry would really come the idea of it being anything else other than MMPR. You know, don't get me wrong. I think it'd be a really great nod to the fans and all the years and all the past actors and things like that that really stepped up. But MMPR is Power Rangers for a lot of people in the general audience. I mean, um, it literally became a pop, like a 90s icon. You know what I'm saying? Like, these characters are iconic in the sense that they have lived on for all these years. And so there is definitely a lot of momentum behind MMPR that I just don't think would have the same type of excitement level if it was any other season. Again, that's not to say that, I'm not a big fan of these other seasons. Hell, I would love to see like Jen and Wes come back from like Time Force. Like, trust me, there are other specials I definitely would like to see. I just don't think it would be a smart choice or a decision from Hasbro based off of the idea that when it comes to Power Rangers, what has achieved and broken literally the pop culture zeitgeist is in fact MMPR, and that is their moneymaker. So it absolutely makes sense that if we are going to get anything more special wise, I would personally think it would be them at the end of it. But who certainly knows? So yeah, I would like to see more anniversary specials. I just don't think I want to see anything outside of MMPR. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to give us another special, if anything. For me, right now, I'm perfectly okay with them focusing on Jonathan Entwistle's reboot in that particular world that they're kind of fleshing out. And then in 5 years or so, if they want to do a 35th anniversary special and bring back the MMPR team, well, I'm all on board for that too. I would be completely okay with it. I don't know if it's going to become like a every 5 year plan sort of thing. I look, Hasbro can easily sort of change their plans as they're continuing along with this Jonathan Entwistle and Jenny Klein shows that they're certainly putting together for Power Rangers, right? So I think if anything, Hasbro will certainly look at the statistics for whatever Netflix has when it comes to their viewership and make decisions based off of that in the sense of, can we juggle a rebooted franchise and yet still keep on with the franchise as we know it? That's definitely going to be up for a debate. But so for me right now, I'm perfectly cool if this was the last special that we got and our main focus will be Jonathan Entwistle's reboot. But something does tell me that they will find a way to kind of balance it all. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see, John, for sure. Carter Matthews. In Spider-Man No Way Home, when Doctor Strange erased the entire world's memories of everyone who knew Peter Parker's identity, do you think that also meant every news report footage, videos, and pictures of him magically disappeared? Does this also mean that I believe so, yes. Does that mean that even Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Parker's identity were erased from the people they cared about? I don't believe so. What about the villains? Did the impact of them becoming corrupted get erased like James Franco's Harry Osborn? Does he no longer know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man and his death being reversed since the whole reason he became New Goblin in Spider-Man 3 was because he found out that Peter was Spidey? No, I'm not very much under the impression that this is just simply focusing on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's the deal that Tom as Peter wind up making with Doctor Strange for people to forget that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, I would assume, in this particular world of the MCU. So I don't believe it's affected Tobey Maguire or Andrews whatsoever. For me, when it comes to Tom Holland Spider-Man, I'm under the impression the Avengers don't know who he is under that mask as Spider-Man, and any sort of reports, photos, footage might have been erased, or maybe they're blurred out now. Who certainly knows? You know what I mean? Or there's a mask over his face. I really have no idea, but I'm under the impression that that's how it certainly all worked itself out. Carlo Bernardo, choose one. You know how we make fun of both Super Sentai and Power Rangers and how both of them are unique in their own ways. What were some aspects do you wish Sentai would borrow or pay homage to Power Rangers aside from the it's morphing time in Go Busters? Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for me because, like, when I look at Power Rangers, I always see Super Sentai. You know, um, like I can say like Zord battles, but I'm like, oh wait, they take that from Super Sentai anyway. Like when I think of like what originality does Power Rangers bring to its own show that Super Sentai doesn't, right? Because outside of the originality of Power Rangers, it's all Super Sentai. Um, Maybe better side characters. And that's even a hit or miss too, because even sometimes Power Rangers usually has those like comedic side characters that just kind of ruin the series for you. Um, so they do have some, and Super Sentai does have some, again, maybe they even do side characters even better. That's a tough question for me, Carlo. Because again, I've become so accustomed to just seeing Power Rangers as a copy and paste of Super Sentai. Unfortunately, that's probably a really terrible perspective to have. But when I think of like all the aspects of Power Rangers that I enjoy, sadly they come from Super Sentai. Um, like the comedy, I think Super Sentai does it better. Side characters, maybe that's an argument that you might be able to have. Morphing sequences are usually always better, Super Sentai. I was gonna say original fight footage, but that's all original fight footage in Super Sentai, and they're pretty damn amazing at it. Um, Zord battles are pretty incredible. I was gonna say some really great soundtracks, but Super Sentai's got some pretty good music also, right? So that's a hard one, Carlo. Side characters. If I had to choose one, maybe. But that's really all that I. That's really all that I want. Kenny Tolentino is up next. Maybe the form. Going back, Carlo. Maybe the format of how they tell their stories. Um, no, they're kind of episodic too. Like beginning, middle, and end. Not really a lot of continuing stuff. I'm not really a big fan of that when it comes to Power Rangers. Like I wish that they would have to be continued episodes or like open-ended episodes that lead directly into the first one, the next episode. I think Dino Fury is Simon Ben has done a pretty good job in regards to that. Um, but outside of that, yeah, man, not much. Kenny, what were some of your favorite storylines from Mighty Morphin and In Space? Oh my God, it's been so long since I've revisited both of these series. I always did love the love triangle between was it Andros and the Yellow Ranger? Didn't they have a thing for each other? Um, I always loved the Astronema and always loved the Astronema and Angel story. The idea of them being twins, sort of separated, if you will. One turned evil, one turned good. One was corrupted, sort of thing. Um, Always loved that storyline. Also, Mighty Morphin storylines. Damn, I was always. I can't remember if that was Green with Evil. If that was the. What was the? I can't remember the title of the episode when. I think that was Green with Evil, wasn't it? With Jason trying to get the green candle or save Tommy from his powers going out, sort of thing. I was always a big fan of that. Um, I didn't really care for the Alien Rangers saga, unfortunately. Man, this is so many. I got to go back and rewatch these damn series. It's been like 10, 15 years, man, honestly, since I've done like a full rewatch of some of these. Nicole Robertson, how y'all? Hope y'all are doing well. What do you think of the possible Fantastic Four rumor of Mila Kunis, who was first rumored to be the new Susan Storm, but now rumored to play by Margot Robbie and Mila for some reason as the Thing? I'm not sure if all of these are even real rumors, as well as the actor and driver from Star Wars as Reed Richards. Well, okay, so to kind of clarify some of the rumors that are currently going on right now, Mila Kunis did recently come out, I believe, in a late night show to squash the rumors of her playing the Thing. She did say, I'm not in the Fantastic Four movie, but I do know who is. So I don't know if that's eye opening for some people as to who Mila Kunis knows that could be in Fantastic Four. So I'm not expecting her to be in the movie. Um, The latest two ones that I have heard might be a little bit more concrete. Adam Driver as Reed Richards, I feel like has been getting a lot of momentum. People saying that he's kind of in final talk, but they're not sure right now. I am hearing some reports that are saying, yeah, it's definite. Like they've wrapped up negotiations with him, and he's set to play Reed Richards. I personally really like Adam Driver as an actor. I do think he's got some incredible range. So I would be really fascinated to kind of see how he would play Reed Richards. He does have sort of that persona about him of like that. He could easily pull off like that awkward guy, that awkward scientist sort of thing that's really socially awkward, but an extreme genius. So he probably wouldn't have been my first choice, but I can tell you, I do think that that's probably more concrete of a casting than anything as of right now. I don't think they've made it official, like Deadline, Variety. I don't believe that they've come out and been like, Hollywood Reporter, like, yes, they're in final talks and negotiations. But something's happening with Adam Driver, and I do think he will be Reed Richards. As far as Margot Robbie goes, I think that might be along the same lines of what we've just had with Adam Driver. Um, but I'm not quite sure. So I think the Margot Robbie and Adam Driver are probably better bets. But I completely don't think Mila's in this movie at all. Margot, if you were to say fit, I would say maybe like 40% yes, 60% no. Adam Driver, I'd probably give that 70% yes, 30% no at this point. But I'm fascinated by this movie, and I can't wait for the casting to be named official. Stuart's question is next. What's up, Stuart? How did Tommy get the Master Morpher in Dimensions of Danger? My head canon was that he helped Gia during Legendary Battle, especially since he did wear both white and green. White when he saved the little boy from Car dangling from a cliff, then suited up as the Green Ranger by borrowing his designated color Ranger keys from Gosei, then went back to Reeves' side and had Haley create the actual morpher for emergencies, since he was the one who helped him create the Dino Thunder morphers in the first place. Then later his own morpher as Dino Thunder Black, since we all remember in the end back in Black, Tommy did tell Connor, Ethan, and Kira that Haley built his Brachio morpher just in case, right before he was taken to Mesogog henchman at the end of Wave Goodbye. Do you guys agree with my headcanon, or you have any others? Look, I just think Billy created it. Like I think after watching Once and Always, and you see Billy and Alpha tapping into the morphing grid through secondary portals or secondary accesses, and creating proxy keys, I do think that's probably maybe who created it. Like, while I appreciate your head headcanon, that just feels like way too much stuff for Tommy to do in order to go ahead and achieve what he needs to achieve. And so for me at least, I'm just under the impression that Billy just created it himself. Him and Alpha clearly have been working throughout these years and trying to come up with new things that they can create through the morphing grid. So, if anything, I do believe it's probably through Billy. And last but not least, Adrian Perez. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Monday there back at home. Just my own speculation, but when David Yost does officially return for Cosmic Fury, I think he will help the Cosmic Fury team deal with Lord Zed in space, or Billy himself comes to them for help on bringing back Zordon. Since we all know by now that Once and Always the main reason Robo Reader was released was due to Billy trying to bring Zordon back by using particles from the Z-Wave. So I do see the possibility of him reaching out to the team for help, since he did mention at the end of the anniversary special that he wouldn't be giving up on trying to save Zordon one more time. Zordon himself was mentioned in Dino Fury when it came to the Z-Wave, so Billy helping Cosmic Fury team with Lord Zed or getting their help to bring Zordon back would give David Yost a real purpose to be on Cosmic Fury for an episode or two, allowing both the 30th anniversary special and 30th season to be connected. Would also be incredible to see Cranston's technology one more time, since the set itself was most likely still there during the filming of Cosmic Fury. I do believe David Yost was in New Zealand for a couple of weeks after the MMPR special wrap filming to be in a couple of episodes of Cosmic Fury. And who knows, if Zordon does manage to return, we could hear David Felding's voice again. David Yost always said in the past he would gladly return to the franchise a number of times, as long as the script was really good and he himself and his character of Billy was well respected. Um, I mean, look, I do think you might be onto something there. Whether or not Zordon Zordon is brought back is definitely another question. I am kind of curious about that myself. I am under the impression that Billy will be the reason why the Cosmic Fury team is successful in defeating Lord Zed, whether that's the actual, hey, fight alongside us, Billy, or Billy, hey guys, I created something that might sort of change course for Lord Zed and take and put him back where he certainly kind of belongs, right? Like when you bring up the idea of Robo Reed, and I think we either talked about that um either this past weekend on Hero Report or another previous episode. But one of the things that we talked about was, seeing Billy and Once and Always trying to find Zordon in the Z Wave and accidentally pulling out Rita. To me, it would be interesting if, like, Billy somehow, since this is a Lord Zed that's been recreated, if he can maybe send this Lord Zed um back into the T wave, or like just back out into the universe, to kind of float around like Rita Repulsa was certainly doing all that time before being pulled back. So I do wonder if, based off of that accident, if he has configured something or built something to reverse the polarity of that and kind of go back into it. And so I think maybe that's what they could utilize to draw Zed's evil out of him, or just his entire body, since he is technically a reincarnation, if you will, or pretty much. So I don't know, whether or not that's the idea of like, hey, we can't do this unless we get Zordon back. That definitely seems pretty appealing too. Some people might say, look, you kind of ruined the finale of In Space with the sacrifice. But how long ago was that? Like 25 years ago? It's been such a long time. His sacrifice did so much good, at least until the next season when more villains popped up. But I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I like the speculation though, man. I really do. To a certain extent, Adrian, I'm definitely there with you. I do think that Billy will be the cause of helping bring down Lord Zed with whatever that he's created or built. Whether or not that's Zordon or something else entirely, we'll definitely have to see. But I think you might be onto something there, Adrian. So we'll see. All right, guys. I think other than that, I think that is all of our live viewer questions for the day. So thank you so much, guys, for definitely joining us here today. If anything, we certainly will be back later on this week for you guys. I know we've got some fresh content certainly headed your way. I've got Gotham Knights that I'm going to be watching tomorrow that will be dropping on Thursday for you guys. I do believe you have a new episode of Superman and Lois and maybe The Flash this week. So definitely look out for Stuart and Indy to go ahead and drop some of their videos for you guys. I may start my trip of finishing off Titans season 4 finally, so maybe you guys might get a review from me here within the next week or two. And I do believe Stuart's going to be working on a non-spoiler review for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for you guys, so definitely look out for that this week. But other than that, we'll certainly see you guys on Sunday for our live episode of APlus Hero Report. So until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.